guys, this video is dedicated to the man who inspired me to play bass, and if you didn't guess from the intro, that is Paul Gray from Slipknot. Now, when I was younger, I didn't used to think I liked metal at all, even though I loved music, and I kept getting my friends, everyone telling me, oh, you gotta listen to Slipknot, go and check them out, and I just refused to because I thought, no, I don't think I like that kind of stuff. Bearing in mind I was like 9, around the age of 9 at the time, and one day I was on YouTube and I stumbled across a video, Paul Gray teaching how to play Duality on bass, and I thought, I don't know what that is, but for some reason I recognised the name and I recognised the band name, and so I decided to click on it, and the second I laid eyes on the bass I was like, that's what I want to do, that's it. And honestly, I couldn't tell you what it was about the bass that made me want to pick it up. I mean, obviously Paul Gray is the man who inspired me to start playing it, but of all the instruments, like, everyone always goes, oh, why bass? Why not guitar? Why not anything else? And honestly, I couldn't tell you, but it was one of those things where, you know, when you just see something and it's like something clicks and you're like, that's what I need to do, that's what I want to do. And I literally have not looked back since, because to me, playing bass is as natural as breathing, and it's just my favourite thing in the world. As if you couldn't tell already. I don't know, but I know it's what I'm meant to do. I just absolutely love it. And literally right from the start, I just kind of took to it and absolutely loved it. Because I'd always loved music. Like, apparently as a baby I would tap my foot to songs before I could even sit up and stuff like that, which I always find a bit weird, but there you go. And obviously I was a massive fan from about the age of 2, I think, when I discovered it, War of the Worlds by Jeff Wayne, and that has remained one of my main inspirations ever since. But yeah, I just, for some reason, I thought, no, I don't like metal, I'm not going to check them out. And then that video kind of forced its way into my life, and I was like, oh, well, now I might go and check out some Slipknot songs. So I did, and I ended up absolutely loving them. Literally, from the second I turned them on, I was like, oh, I actually quite like this. So yeah, they ended up becoming the first band that I was into, Slipknot. Because I'd loved other music and all sorts, like, from no age. I've always loved music and kind of felt it. But, yeah, I'd never really discovered a band that I really got into and really wanted to learn about until that video. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of clips of that video a bit later on, and where that kind of led me. But, yeah. I remember seeing a video on YouTube not long after Paul Gray died where Corey Taylor says, even if you didn't know Paul, the second you met him he changed your life forever, even if you didn't know it at the time. And even though I never met him, he still changed my life. The second I laid eyes on him, my life was forever changed, because honestly, I can't even think of what I was doing before I was playing bass. Like, that part of my life kind of doesn't exist, because what did I do with my time? Because that's all I do now, and I absolutely love it. But he's literally shaped my life for the better in every way I can think possible. Yeah, some things are just kind of meant to happen. I do believe that, like, the right things will find you, and everything happens for a reason, and everything kind of ties in, and I find that quite comforting personally, and that kind of seems to be what I've found. But anyway, without rambling on too much, that led me down a massive Slipknot rabbit hole and musical rabbit hole. It started my whole journey, and I came downstairs that day when I discovered that video and I said to my mum, oh, I want to learn to play bass, because I didn't know it was called a bass. So she was like, bass? Do you mean bass? Don't you want to learn proper guitar? I was like, no, I want to learn bass. And she was like, well, okay, I'll support you in that. And she did. I mean, my parents, I'm really lucky, they've always been really supportive, even with, like, we're not well off, but they've always done what they can to kind of help me get where I want to be, which is really nice. But yeah, she absolutely loves bass now. Like, it's her favourite instrument. But it was so funny at the time. I looked back on it, I was like, just like, don't you want to learn real guitar? I was like, nope, no, and I would not be told. So it was, clearly that was what I was meant to be doing. Anyway, I ended up, as you can imagine, learning that Slipknot song from the video that I found on YouTube of Paul Gray. So I'm going to show you a bit of that now, and tell you a bit of a story to do with that. So here it is.
The 8th to the 10th, back to the 12th, and then up to the 13th and back to the 12th. And the rest of the riff is the same, so I'll play it for you at speed first, and here's that.
So I turned up at my bass lesson about 3 weeks after I'd started playing, and my bass teacher that week had said, okay, I'll get you to learn Let It Be by the Beatles, that's your homework, so come back and play that for me and we'll see how you get on. And I said, okay, yep. And in that week I'd learnt that, and I went and watched Paul Gray teaching Duality on that very video, learnt it from that. And I turned up at my bass lesson that week and said, oh, I've learned that song, but also I've learned this song, it's Duality by Slipknot, so can I play it for you at the end of the lesson? He goes, yeah, sure, we'll see how you get on with that one then, because I think he was a bit dubious, like, I wonder how this is going to pan out. And rightfully so, because I mean, I think I would feel the same way as well. With, like, 3 weeks of playing, not going to kind of expect that much, but I played him the song, and by the end of it, because I didn't realise that Paul Gray used a pick, so I'd learnt the whole song fingerstyle, because I wasn't that knowledgeable about bass, so I kind of hadn't paid much attention to the fact he was using a pick, so I'd learnt it fingerstyle, even like the whole bit, all with my fingers. In a way, I think that stood me in good stead, because now I can do that. But yeah. I turned up, played it for him, and by the end of it, he had tears in his eyes, because I think he was a bit in disbelief that I'd just played it. And I think he said he felt like a proud dad. He was so proud, and it really meant a lot to me. I really couldn't have asked for a better introduction and start to the bass than Steve Watson, my first bass teacher. But yeah, I quite like that story, because, I mean, how often do you turn up at a bass lesson and make your teacher cry? Yeah, that really means a lot to me. But I ended up getting asked to do Worcester Music Festival, which was going to take place about 6 weeks after I first started playing, I think. And I can show you a clip of that now, because I actually sat down and played Duality at that thing. So you can see me at 6 weeks of playing Duality, and I'm going to show you that now because I like the video, it's quite fun. There's me playing Duality at, I've just remembered, I think it was about 2 or 3 months that I'd been playing by the time I did that gig but that was my first ever gig, and I was really lucky to be given the slot. I'm really grateful that people believed in me enough to actually do that, with that little playing time under my belt. I'm really grateful. It's also reminded me as well, because I ended up playing Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden at that gig, as well as Mellowship Slinky by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And Run to the Hills was another one that I taught myself via a YouTube video, and I taught myself the 3-finger galloping technique, and that was another one. It was around the same time I turned up at a bass lesson and played the whole thing through, and my bass teacher cried. I think that was the same week. But yeah, it's such a nice memory, and I'm so grateful for the people that have believed in me, because I couldn't be here without them. So yeah, thank you to everybody that has and still does, because it really means the world to me. But yeah, I would love to upload the whole clip, but sadly I can't because of copyright. But maybe at some point I'll be able to show the whole thing, because it's really cool to see. I like looking back on it and seeing how far I've come. Obviously the intro is where I'm at now with Duality. Hopefully I've improved. Still not particularly easy on the old right hand, but yeah, it's definitely a fun song to play. But anyway, so of course, being a Paul Gray fan, what's the ultimate thing to have? I was so desperate for one of these basses, and you just couldn't find them anywhere because they'd been discontinued after he passed away. And somehow one Christmas my dad had managed to actually find one, and he could afford it, and I still have it because I absolutely love it. The Paul Gray signature Ibanez ATK, or Attack, whichever way you like to say it. It's such a cool bass, but at the time I was so reserved. Like, when I opened it, my dad thought, oh, she's gonna go mental, she's gonna be screaming about the house, and I opened it and I was so shy and reserved at the time, because I was just about 13, I think. I opened it, it's like, oh wow, that's really cool, and I was really quiet about it, and I don't think he realised immediately just how much this thing meant to me and still means to me, because I absolutely adore this thing. And obviously I owe pretty much my whole discovery of bass and my career to Paul Gray, because I wouldn't be doing it probably. Well, I don't know. I probably would still be doing it, but I don't think I would have found it at necessarily the right time if I hadn't seen that video of Paul Gray. So yeah, who knows, maybe I wouldn't have been doing it. Maybe it was him that needed to push me to do it. I don't know, speculation, but I do know that I wouldn't have been playing it at that time without seeing that video and without Paul Gray. So I really do owe all of this to him. And of course this thing means a hell of a lot to me. This video isn't so much about demoing this bass, but I'm going to show you a close-up with it so you can see all the details of it, and then I'm going to do an actual demo video showing you all different sounds of it, because this video is more about Paul Gray and more a tribute to just him, the man himself. But I wanted to show you this anyway, because you can't have a Paul Gray video without this thing. So I'm going to show you some close-ups of this as well, because it's just beautiful, and I want to do it justice, so here you go. So here's the bass close up. This is post cleaning, but this thing is so shiny that it's impossible to not get fingerprints on it. You can kind of see them. It's so reflective that it's hard to show you, but there is actually a wood grain on it. I don't know if you can kind of see it along here. So it's black, but you can still see the wood grain. It's almost got a greeny tint to it. But it's a really beautiful bass. It's really heavy, but really beautiful. I mean, it's a big beast, but I absolutely love it. It's got all the inlays as well, which are just really cool. As you can probably tell, it's also got a heavier gauge strings on it as well. because that's definitely necessary when playing in drop B. But yeah, you can kind of get a feel for how big this thing is, but it's really beautiful. And I'm going to show you the back as well, but hope this is doing it justice despite how shiny and semi-fingerprinty it is. It's not too bad. So on the back it's got his signature, which I absolutely love. I think that's such a cool thing to add on. Sadly he hasn't hand signed it, it is a print, but it's his actual signature, so it's definitely something, and I'm still really grateful to have it. It's really cool. I like that they added that on. Again, you can kind of see the wood grain, hopefully, and it goes all the way up the neck as well. So shiny. But yeah, the size of this thing is just humongous, but I absolutely love it. So again, I'll do an actual demo video showing you more of the sounds of this thing as well, but this is just more about Paul Gray himself and the amazing basses he's played. But again, he was actually left-handed, so this is obviously the right-handed version, but I think because this was his signature bass, they made a hell of a lot of left-handed versions, which is amazing, because you don't get that too often, so really cool. But yeah, hope you like the look of the bass. So yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. I'm sure you can see why I love this thing. Not even just because it's Paul Gray's, but just as a bass itself. Absolutely love it. It's not a bass that I play mega often because it's absolutely huge, and by the end of it my hands actually feel quite fatigued, but that's just a me thing because I don't have the biggest hands in the world. But I can still get around on it. It's still really fun to play, but I don't play it as much as I would love to, just because it would really hurt after a while, and I kind of want to still be playing in about 10 years time. But yeah, I'm so grateful to have this, and I love it. I hope you can see why. But yeah, moving on from that as well, I was actually lucky enough to meet Corey Taylor around that time, so I don't think I'd started playing bass by that point, or I think I had just started, and obviously by that time was a massive Slipknot fan, and Corey Taylor had just released his book, so he'd come over to do a signing at Waterstones in Birmingham, and I said to my mum, "Oh, can we go?" And apparently it was going to be like, it wasn't ticketed, but it was going to be like the first however many people to turn up. So we got up at 4 a.m. and drove up to Birmingham and queued outside Waterstones in this massive queue, and I was like hoping to get in, and yeah, it was such a community kind of feeling thing, and I actually got to speak to a few musicians because I just started playing at the time, and all of them were really encouraging. They were like, "Ah, you play bass, and that's a great thing to play," and we were having some conversations about Paul Gray, and I just remember it being such a nice time, and looking back at that time is just really comforting to me because I remember it really well, and it was kind of, it gave me that leg up of inspiration to kind of go, yeah, I really, really know this is what I want to do. And I liked the community, and everyone was really nice, and I actually made a few friends from it as well who are still around, which is cool. But in the end I did actually end up getting in to meet Corey Taylor because, well, I would have anyway, but he said he wasn't going to leave until he'd seen everyone, which I think is really nice, because the security were like, "Yeah, it's time to go now," and he was like, no, I'm doing it, I'm seeing everyone, I haven't come this far to not let people see me, which is really cool. But I actually got his signature, which I have in a book, and I always remember he said he liked my name, which was really cool. Hopefully you can see that. But again, that gave me a big leg up to like just be certain that was what I wanted to do. Because I'm sure I would have ended up doing music anyway, given that literally from birth I absolutely loved music and I could feel it. And there's many stories about that, but for another time. I don't want to ramble too much. But doing this, I just think everything just happened at the right time and the right people were around, and I honestly don't think I would have ended up where I am now without all of that happening. So I just kind of wanted to do a video on that. There is a picture of me and Corey Taylor as well, just going back to that. But it was out of focus, but I'm going to show you it anyway, because it's quite cool to look back on. I've got it, but I remember looking at it like, oh, it's a bit out of focus. I'm feeling a bit gutted, but then at the same time being like, still a photo of me and him. I'm happy with that. So here it is. But yeah, going back to Paul Gray, I don't think many people realise what an amazing player he was, because although he's got some really cool and creative bass lines in Slipknot, one, you can't always hear them, and two, if you look at their really early stuff before Corey Taylor joined and when they had Anders on vocals, from like the Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat era of stuff, his playing is just like phenomenal. It's so creative and it's absolutely beautiful, and I wish more people knew that he could play like that, because that album's kind of got everything. It's got slap bass, it's got tapping, even some fretless stuff. It's really like, it's almost, well, it's got funk elements in it, jazz elements, it's got everything. But he was a really outstanding player, and I wish more people knew that. So as a tribute to him, and to kind of hopefully highlight that a bit more, I'm going to play a song that's called Confessions, and I hope you like it, because in my opinion it is one of the most beautiful things he's ever written, and I want more people to know about it because I want to do him justice, and I want people to know what an amazing musician he was, because he wasn't just a root note kind of guy, which that kind of stuff is great, but he could do so much more than that, and I want people to know what he could do. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope he likes my little tribute to him. Hopefully it wasn't too rambly. Sometimes when you're looking back it's really hard to order stuff and say it in a linear manner, but I think I've managed that. So hopefully it all made sense. If you've got any questions or anything like that, let me know. I want to mention as well, I've actually got a Patreon, so if you did enjoy this video or any of the other videos, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon, because honestly it helps more than you can imagine, especially at the moment. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Here is Confessions by Slipknot, and rest in peace, Paul. Thank you for everything you've done. So thank you for watching.